Hi there, thank you for your time today. My name is Daniel Cooper. I'm making this short video to discuss an ongoing dispute I have with the AliExpress seller in this dispute. I ordered a Hantek, it's called a 6104BD digital oscilloscope. I have it in front of me. I've got the oscilloscope and I've got the box it come in. As you can see by the picture, it usually has these two rubber bumpers. They are removable, and I've just removed them from the edges for the purpose of this video, just to so you can see all the lettering on the front of the oscilloscope easier, just so I show you exactly what's going on or what's going wrong with this. Now, this oscilloscope, the easiest way to explain firstly what a digital oscilloscope is for someone that isn't used to them, just very briefly, a digital oscilloscope is a way of viewing electronic signals within a circuit. It's a bit like taking a magnifying glass and looking at the signals, what's going on, and it displays it on the computer and you can see exactly what's going on in an electronic circuit. It's super handy. After having an extensive play around with this, I've determined that channel 3 is indeed faulty. Channels 1, 2 and 4 are okay, and I'll prove today, and I'll show you what exactly is going wrong with channel 3. So to give you a little bit of background on me first, I'm an electronics engineer and I work for a company called BAE Systems, which is an avionics defence electronics company. So electronics is my bread and butter. I do it every day, and I've been in the industry for 10 years now. So I'm not some school leaver, I'm not some hobbyist. I am a professional electronics engineer, and when I say this is genuinely faulty, I do mean it, and I will prove this to you and I will show you. So firstly, let's show you exactly what's going on. So what we're going to do is we're going to plug the Hantek into the PC. This is the USB cable the seller supplied. I've already plugged it in the back of my PC, just for speed. I don't want to waste too much of your time on this video. Plugged it in the back of the Hantek. The Hantek will flash red because I haven't loaded up the software yet, and when the software is loaded and it connects, it will go green. So if we keep an eye on that red flashing light and we load up the software, that red light now has gone green, which is good, and Hantek is operating. So that software has literally just been provided by the seller and I've installed it. So I'm using everything that was supplied by the seller. I'm not using any of my own equipment in that sense. Now what should happen, by the way, channel 1, you can, this is a quad oscilloscope, so it's got 4 inputs that you can use. You can clip what's called an oscilloscope probe to each input, and test electronic circuits, and you can do 4 at the same time. That's why you have a quad, because it's better for testing for difficult failures. Now you've got 4 different inputs to choose from. Input 3 is the input that has the fault. However, I'd like to show you how it should work, how it should perform. Channel 1 is a working channel, so I'll show you that first. So if we tick on, you'll notice a yellow strip comes up. That is basically just saying at the moment it's not seeing any signal. It's just 0. The centre line is 0, and every partition it goes up is at the moment set to 200 millivolts per grid level. So that's 200 millivolts, that's 400 millivolts, that's 600 millivolts, and it will display the waveform on the screen. So if we plug our oscilloscope probe into channel 1, now channel 1, if we have a look at the front, is this one on the far left next to the green blinking LED. So we'll plug it in. A bit hard to do single-handed. So that's plugged in. Also, what to bear in mind with oscilloscopes, there is, if you can see that, I'll turn it out the other way, there's a ×1 and a ×10 probe selector. I've got mine set to ×10, which is this side. You can set it to 1, but we're going to keep it set to 10. 10 is sort of industry standard, and it means that you definitely can't do any damage to any devices when you hook it up. But that's set at 10, and also we'll set the oscilloscope to ×10 too, so there is definitely no problems there at all. So if we then get the end of this probe, it's got a little hook on the end of it. If we hook it on the output of this this test output, on the front of it, it says it should generate 1 kilohertz at 2 volts peak to peak, and we can see on the oscilloscope that it is definitely generating 2 volts peak to peak. We can tell this by actually measuring the waveform. So we've currently got our oscilloscope set to 2 volts per grid line, and it is one grid line, so it's 2 volts high, which is correct. It's 1 volt peak to peak, 2 volts total, and it's, if we set the trigger mode to trigger 1, the time base is 1 millisecond. 1 millisecond, 1 over 1 millisecond works out at 1 kilohertz. Doing a bit of maths, so you can tell that channel is definitely working. Now, an oscilloscope is great because you can increase the magnification of that waveform. If you've got a really diddy waveform that's coming in like that, you can increase the scale of the waveform to check how pure it is, and to check how neat the waveform is if you're having electrical issues. And if you have a look, you can zoom in, you can keep zooming, and it will keep displaying the waveform right down to 20 millivolts, and then it bottoms out because it can't display any deeper, but the waveform's still there, displaying nicely. And likewise, if you zoom out, the waveform gets smaller and smaller and smaller until you zoom out to 100 volts, and it's pretty much non-existent. It's just a faint line, really. So yeah, so far pretty impressed with it. Channel 1 works really well. Now I'll show you quickly what channel 3 does and what the actual issue is that the seller's claiming he tested before he delivered it. In my opinion, that's rubbish, because if he had checked this, he would know that it's faulty. So whether it's been damaged in transit or whether he just didn't bother to check it properly before he shipped it, don't know. But it's not really my domain at the end of the day. That's down to the seller to either give me a refund or give me a new product. Anyway, I'll show you what's going on. So if we remove the output, so the test input from channel 1, the scope level has gone to 0 again, and that's channel 1, channel 2, channel 3. I'll even show you it and hold it up to you to show you. So there's channel 3 under there. If we plug that into channel 3, turn channel 1 off, that's the yellow trace. Go to channel 3 and turn channel 3 on, it's a purple trace. And we'll set it to ×10 as we did before, at 2 volts as we did before, and you think, we're getting a signal, that's all good, it works. Just wait until you try and zoom in. So if I zoom out, 5 volts, still got a signal. 10 volts, got a bit of a broken up signal, and it zooms out all the way to 100 volts. But you go back to 2 volts and you think, okay, I want to zoom in that way, I want to zoom in a bit further, I've got some noise here, and I want to see exactly what's going on. So we'll try and zoom in. So we'll go to 1 volt, dead. That's strange. It should just keep zooming in like that, but go 1 step higher, but it dies. And then you go to 0.5 volt, dead. And just to confirm, I'm not doing any funny business. It's all still connected up, and I'll even show you it from the lead end just to show you I'm not actually moving the test setup at all. So if we zoom out again back to 2 volts, you can see the waveform appear back on the computer, and then you zoom in again and it disappears. It shouldn't do that, it shouldn't just die like that, and it implies that there's a signal problem on the 3rd input channel of that oscilloscope. I've seen it before on oscilloscopes. It's a bit of a pain to sort of fault find and find, but you can fix it. But really, I shouldn't be receiving an oscilloscope that's got a fault like this from brand new. And if you zoom in, that's 500 millivolts, it's still dead. Zoom into 200 millivolts, still dead, but you're starting to pick up the traces of the 1 kilohertz test signal. And if you zoom in 100 volts, you're getting a bit more noise. 50 volts, a bit more noise still. You are picking up the trace of the test signal, but it's just noise really, and the odd spike here and there. It's certainly not good. And the same if you go to 20 millivolts, it's noise just still. So this input 3 has certainly got a problem viewing any waveform under 2 volts, which there's no explanation for that. There's no excuses for that. There is a genuine fault with the item, regardless of what the seller tries to claim. He checked it before he delivered it. Of course he's going to try and say that to try and cover his own ass so he doesn't have to give me a refund. But at the end of the day, I can conclusively prove that this product is faulty. Zooming right out just to show you the entire test setup, and zooming in again so you can see on the PC. If I expand it on the PC, just to show you I'm not doing anything behind the camera. If I zoom in again, you can see the waveform die, and then go to 2 volts and it pops back again. So there is certainly something iffy going on with this, because if I put just to show you one last time, put the input back onto, let's try another one, let's try input 2, just to show you that it isn't just input 1 that's working. Okay, we've now selected input 2, we turn input 2 on, input 2 is blue, and we can see the 2 volt trace. I'll zoom right out so you can see the full test setup, and we'll zoom in like what we was doing for channel 3, but this time, yep, there we go, it's expanding properly. So channel 2 works. And that's what I'd expect to happen with channel 3. However, as you can see, when I put it on channel 3 dies. So we'll switch back over to channel 3, turn it on. So we start at 2 volts, that's 5 volts, that's 2 volts, and then it dies after that. So not particularly impressed with it. If I was trying to make a meal out of this, I'd ask for a full refund, because I don't feel it's fair that I'd have to spend the money to ship the goods back to the seller. I don't feel that that is really my domain. I think that the costs should be borne by the seller, because it's the seller has sold me a faulty item. However, I'm not going to go down the route of asking for 100% refund, because it does work. 3 out of 4 channels do work, so 75% of the item is still fully functional. So if the seller would be prepared to give me a 25% refund for this, I'll have to invest the time and the effort to try and fix the fault myself, because it's well within my capability as an engineer to do this, but I shouldn't be having to do this. And I think in a fair society I should be given a small refund to discount the fact that the product wasn't working from now. Anyway, I hope you found this video useful for determining how to deal with the dispute. If you have any further questions or queries, please don't hesitate to message or call me, and I'll be happy to explain this in more detail over the phone or over live chat or over email, just at the other end of the computer or the phone. So please please consider this evidence that the item is indeed faulty, regardless of what the seller is trying to fob us off with. And I appreciate your time today. Thank you very much.